Well, it's hard to believe it's the end of May and I'm hiding in the polytunnel because it's absolutely tipping it down outside. It is awful here today. It started on Thursday night, had an absolute deluge on Thursday night. Friday it was on and off. Saturday it was okay up until the night time. It started last night. Today is Sunday and it has not stopped since. All the plans, I had a plan, I was going to come up here today, do a bit of filming. We've got the cauliflowers, we've got some beetroots, we've got some runner beans hiding at the back there, all desperate to go, get it out. Lovely day, Sunday, let's crack on with it. Alas, it is raining, and I mean, I don't mind a bit of drizzle or a bit of rain, I'd be out there doing it, but it is battering down today. So there's zero chance of me being out there. So I've been up in the polytunnel. I always find it a bit funny that when it's tipping it down with rain like that, I'm up here watering the plants. But like I say to people who find it a bit weird, it doesn't rain inside the polytunnel. It doesn't rain inside the greenhouse. So I've got to come up and still water all the plants that we've done in here. And speaking of all the plants that we've done in here, in the last one where you saw me up here, we're doing all the plants, putting all the plants out. We've got the peppers, we've got the chilies, we've got more peppers, we've got the tomatoes. And there's 3 gaps where I think the cucumbers are going to go. But what does that leave me with? That leaves me with at least probably half a dozen tomatoes, some peppers, some other things, bits and pieces that it'll just be a bit of a shame if I throw them out. So I've got a bit of a plan. And the plan is all to do with the greenhouse. So here we are, back at the greenhouse. And however, I think we might just have a bit of a problem. So time to have a rethink. So you might well ask, what is in this box of wonder? And let's have a look what is inside. At least in here, in the kitchen, we are out of the rain and not getting wet, which is a bonus. And this is for the greenhouse. And I didn't expect it to be quite so big, but not to worry. Let's have a look what we've got. We have got an 8-pot Quadgrow system. And I've been thinking about this for a while for the greenhouse and thinking, give it a couple of weeks and it's going to be so empty in the greenhouse through there. And what a waste of space. I've got plants left over. It's a waste of space. How can we use it throughout the summer with various different things going on? And I never expected it to be quite so big in the big box, but obviously we've got the pots are a pretty big size. And in the bottom here, I'll not get them all out now, I'll get it all out of the box in a minute. This is the sort of reservoirs that they're coming in and whatnot. And apologies for all the bits clacking about and things. There's bits of stuff and things and whatnot inside it. Now, where did I get these from? I got them from Grown Local. So I messaged Ian the other night and I said, I'm thinking about getting some. What do you reckon I should or not? And he said, yeah, good idea. So I crossed his palm with silver and as quick as a flash, honestly, he had them delivered the next day. What brilliant service from Grown Local. I'll pop a little description in the link down below. These are not sponsored. He didn't give me these. I have paid my own cold, hard-earned cash for these and we'll give it a shot. Yeah, they cost a few quid, but they're going to last for years and years and years and hopefully save me a whole load of bother. I'm just sort of standing here waxing lyrical about them, but the whole reason I've got them is that, when I jet off to the Costa del wherever for my summer holidays, I worry about the plants. And up at the polytunnel, up the allotment, I usually get my father-in-law to go along and he waters up and he does a grand job, but I just feel like a bit guilty, a bit of a burden sometimes, asking people to go up there. And it takes a bit of graft up there, but it's not been raining. It takes a lot of work to water that allotment. And if I'm doing that at least every other day or getting somebody else to do it, it's quite a chore. So I'm hoping that with these, set them up in the greenhouse, fill up the sort of reservoir before I go away, and hopefully they will last the whole time I'm away on a holiday. As to when I'm going on holiday, that's obviously a bit of a mystery. And not immediately. It's going to be a while, so I'm planning for the future. But we'll give it a shot. Anyway, let me get all the stuff out. I will have a read through the instructions so I can see what we're doing. We'll get these set up and we'll see how they look down in the greenhouse. So I think I might be getting somewhere after reading some of the instructions anyway. So this, what you can see here, this is a 4-plant set. I've got an 8-plant set. There's another sort of set over here on the couch, but we'll not worry about that. We'll just do one lap. One thing to mention first of all, it does come with this stuff here, Quadgrow. This is a B, so this is A, this is B, well-balanced nutrition. I'm not going to go into this really too much today. I'm led to believe, though, that the Quadgrow is absolutely brilliant for growing plants. Never tried it. I can't speak from experience. I'm just talking about what I've heard from other people. So hopefully we'll use that with the plants outside in the greenhouse. But I guess the only way to really see if that's any good or not is to watch throughout the season and see how the plants grow down there. Compared up with the allotment, we'll not be using that. We'll be using the, Tomarite, we'll be using the comfrey feed, seaweed feed, that sort of stuff. So something totally different. But that stuff is meant to be absolutely brilliant. But we'll see. Time will tell. So there's loads of bits, and I had a quick read to see how I put the bits together, and it's quite straightforward. And I just thought I'd take you through me setting up one sort of set of these. So we've got 2 tanks, and we've got a tank connector, and there's a little, if I turn this one the right way, there's a little rubber washer on each end, and there's a hole at the bottom of each tank, and it just joins together in the middle there. Then you get these little filter things and a little blue squishy spongy thing which will filter out anything nasty, and that just, you push the blue spongy thing into the filter thing, and then they screw onto the end of that pipe that I've just joined between the 2 tanks. In the instructions they call them smart reservoirs. I'm not really quite sure what's smart about them. They're certainly not smart as in, they connect to your Wi-Fi and you water them that way sort of thing. But I'm assuming because they're connected, that if one lot of plants is taking away more water than the other, they will share the water. And also the way these work is when you've got the plants planted in the plant pot and the wicking system that I'll show you in just a minute there, the plants only take the water that is needed, so they're really, really, really efficient. Like I say, I'm hoping one of these reservoirs, that I think they hold 15 litres, if I'm remembering, I'll confirm that in a bit. Off the top of my head, I'm sure they take 15 litres. Hopefully, the plants just take what they need. Unlike me at the allotment, again, use the halo pots, but I'm just coming up and I'm squishing a load of water in there. Plants might be getting too much. They might be getting too little. At least with this way, they're getting exactly what the plants need. So there's a plant telling the water or the reservoir what it needs and being provided with it, which I'm sure it almost sounds too sensible and too easy. But we'll see. Again, we'll see how the season goes. We'll see how these work in the greenhouse. Time will tell. Next thing we have to do is place the feeder tray on top of the smart reservoir. Now this is a feeder tray, and these just go on top of there. Again, I've got a couple extra ones over here to go on the other ones over there. And what I'll not do is trap all the bits that I've got out in the bottom of the reservoir with the lid, because that wouldn't work very well. And let's clunk that on there. So far, so good. Next, we've got these 2 little plastic covers. They rather fancily call them nutrient access covers. There we go. There's a fancy name for what I would call a lid. However, we'll call them nutrient access covers because they sound really good. And I think this is where some of the clever bit comes in. So, I mean, that's a decent sized pot. That's going to take a fair old chunky bit of compost to sort of fill up there. And let me just grab one of these wicks, and this is where the sort of interesting bit happens. And you sort of see when you're doing this, it tells you in the instructions as well, just to run it between your fingers and thumbs a couple of times. And I'm just reading the instructions here while I'm doing it. And then once I've got it just how one, and the reason you do that is it just softens it up a little bit, so they're quite obviously just fresh out the box. They're a little bit stiff, a little bit tough, so you just give it a bit of a rub through your fingers. And the pointy end, if you look at them there, let's put it at the green side, it'll be easier to see. You've got a pointy end and a square end. The pointy end goes through this big hole here at the bottom of the plant pot, and we'll pull it through, and I'm bringing it up to about there, and that's how it looks, if you can see it in there. And the rest of it, so the rest of this goes in the hole at the bottom. And I'll bring the camera over in just a minute, and we'll have a look at it above, because it's all very well and good me squaring to the camera here talking to you about it. We'll show you how it looks from above. And I think, next but not least, we've got to take this down to the greenhouse, get it in there, get some compost in the pots, and actually get some plants in them. So we'll have a little bit of a closer look at what we've got here. So these are the pots. They're a pretty big size there. That's the lids for the other set of reservoirs that we've not put on yet. So this is the reservoir here with the lid on top. You can see the hole in there, and this is the nutrient access cover. There we go. Just gives access to the reservoir below to put in what we need. And this is one of the pots. This is the one that I've just been putting together there in the demonstration. And you have a look, the wick sort of comes up through there, and I lift the pot up. You'll see the wick is going down through that hole into the reservoir. So it's as simple as that. It might look like a bit of a squash down here in the greenhouse. And believe you me, it is a bit of a squash down here at the greenhouse, because like I said before, the weather was terrible. I've got plants everywhere behind you over here, waiting to go out. There's plants up here, there's plants over there, there's plants absolutely everywhere. We've even got the potato buckets still with the main crops in that are just starting to show, so they're going to go up to the allotment. It's a public holiday tomorrow, so I reckon I'm going to take them up tomorrow, get a bit of work done. Anyway, we are here. It looks squashed. It doesn't look like it's going to fit. Honestly, by the end of this week, it'll be looking grand in here. But one thing I need to do, I want to take you through. I'm going to put one plant in here. I just want to show you how it works, how it looks, you know, from beginning to end, rather than me just waffle on about a load of rubbish. So we've got the wick in there, like I just showed you. We're going to grab some compost here, and the one thing you need to be careful with is where the wick is. You don't want the compost. And sorry, I've put the compost bag in there, but we are a bit pushed for space. Let's try and put it down here. I'm gonna, every time I put a handful of compost in, I'm going to keep hold of the wick, because I don't want the wick getting squashed down into the bucket there, which will be all we need, because that kind of defeats the object of what we're doing here with this. And these are going to take a good few handfuls of compost. And let me just, I didn't grab it there. It is starting to stand up by itself. I'm just going to press the compost down. We're just going to compress it, just to make sure it's keeping that wick in place. So when the plant's in there, like I say, it's going to take all that moisture up through the wick into the compost. So the compost's in, the wick's in. Let's just move that down there a little bit. We have got a rather lovely looking sun gold tomato. I mean, who wouldn't want to keep that? Why on earth would I put that in the compost? And I've just lost the label down that little gap down there. It couldn't have gone anywhere more awkward if it tried. So we're just going to put that there, and I'm going to top this up with compost, and we'll get that in, and we'll see how that is going to look at the end. There we go. We'll give it a bit of a push down, bit of a dunk down. And again, you see, when I was up at the polytunnel, and I've been thinking about this for a while, this sort of system, whether I can make it work down here in the greenhouse while I'm away. You know, I've said before in videos and stuff like that sometimes I go away with my work, sometimes, you know, we go away on family holidays, that sort of things. I think I'm sometimes in a different position. See, a lot of YouTubers are a very different stage in life to what I'm at. You don't see many allotment or gardening YouTubers who have school-age children, and obviously that brings a massive different dimension into play in terms of managing things and looking after things and how much time I've got and what I can do, because obviously my family is my number one priority, with the allotment coming a close second to that. But there we go. There we have it. One potted up sun gold tomato. You'll have to trust me, it's sun gold, even though the label's gone down there. I'll try and retrieve it later. But what I'll do, I'll get this one set up. I'll get the other one set up. I'm not going to show you today. I'll come back a different time. I've got a beautiful looking tomato plant up there. We've got peppers up there. So again, doing different things. I'm not going to have all tomatoes, all peppers. We'll do a variety of plants, and we'll see how it works out. So only one thing for it. That's to think about liking and subscribing. If you subscribe, you'll see whether these Quadgrow things actually work down here or not. The only other thing worth mentioning is, to begin with, I'm not going to be filling the reservoirs. So the bit at the bottom of the reservoirs, not going to be filled up. The compost, I'm going to water the plants from the top, so they're absolutely soaking, so they get a good watering. Then leave it for around about 3, 4, 5 days to a week. Depends how warm it is, depends on what conditions are like. When the sort of top bit of the compost has started to go dry, started to dry out, you can touch it with your fingers, it's a bit crumbly, it's not sort of sticking together, then it's time to fill the reservoir. I certainly won't be feeding it for a while until we start seeing some flowers and fruit on the plants. So remember that to begin with, soak in the compost absolutely through. When it dries out, then we'll do the reservoir afterwards. Don't touch the reservoir. As exciting as it might be to get the reservoir on the go, that's way down the line just yet. At least, I reckon, another week. Anyway, that's me done for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.